Alex meeting, Prime West Alex on Thursday, so
Oh, that's right.
On the 2nd?
on the 2nd, you know.
What time do you get back from that?
Usually 6 o'clock, usually.
In the evening?
Yeah.
This wouldn't be till 7.
Long day.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
What, you mentioned possibly Tuesday, the 14th, after, in the evening?
Monday
Good.
the 13th, Tuesday the 14th. Either of those would be fine too. We don't have to worry about conflicting with another unit of government. The state has said that that's okay. You can have 2 meetings on the same night.
Oh, okay.
But it has to be in the evening.
When is the cities?
PM.
When was the cities again?
The cities is Monday the 6th.
Okay, so we won't have to worry about that
That's
conflict.
not an issue.
I don't
I would
care.
recommend either the
If you want to do the
13th or
14th, that's
14th.
fine.
Do the 13th.
Or 13th on Monday?
Fine with that.
7 p.m.
7 PM. Monday, December 13th, 7 PM for TNT. A motion for that, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to either the smock land deal or the highway bids. Since Nick's not
He's
here.
not back yet.
They're out there, they're waiting on one more phone call, he just said.
That was 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep,
So one of them is verified, the other one is not. So
Okay.
a few more minutes.
no problem. Is Domain coming down at all, or?
I'm guessing he's busy in court,
Okay,
so I,
Oh, there he is.
oh. Yep, come on up, we're ready.
all right.
All right, we took them back to the office and had all these bids checked, and they all check out. The box culverts beat the estimate, so I obviously don't have anything to complain about there. The bridges, a little higher. Like I said, that estimate was from earlier this year. The consultant did it, so they might be not quite as in tune with how things work out here in the sticks, but doing a little homework with what steel has done recently and with how much steel is involved in these. I'm comfortable with wording. I mean, we've had this company multiple times. They do very good work for us. They're pretty close to home too, so.
And again, it's 2 separate bridges that we're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it helps a little bit, that sticker shock, when you say, well, it is actually 2 of them, not just
Oh,
one
yeah,
bridge.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I comfortably recommend award to Frame Construction out of Slayton for the bridges, and then to R&G Construction out of Marshall for the box culverts.
Mr. Chair, do you want that in 2 separate motions or in one?
Doesn't matter.
Two separate
Doesn't matter to
motions.
me.
I know.
So I'll move for the first motion, then for Pram Construction for the bridge project, then for the $2,035,889.25.
I will second.
Okay, any discussion? Other than they were quite a bit lower than the other bid.
Yes, they were. So,
Yeah.
you see a couple of them like this that are well over the estimate. It also tells me that the estimate's a little out of date, so, or
Right.
whatever, like I said, it's from earlier in the year, so. If it was the only bid we had, I would maybe think about, maybe we should do some more homework on this or something, but
And what kind of schedule are you looking at on this?
one of them is due next fall of '22 and the other's due fall of '23. And we did that because there's not enough time for a one crew company to get both of them done in 1 year. And we wanted as many bidders as possible to keep the price as low as possible. This company here, they called and they talked some about possibly working during the winter. That would, of course, drag it out a little bit longer, but it wouldn't hurt the park near as much. And since we got park funds, if they still want to do that, I'm going to talk with the park about it, and we might want to give them some more working days or something, so. We'll see, that's a little ways down the road, but, we'll see. Just so you know, that might come up, so.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move the low bid for RNG construction.
Okay,
Support that.
okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. That's all I had, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Save this much on this one, and that one went that much
Sure.
over. So really, 100,000. Extra. Thank you, sir. That's not so bad.
No.
Why did she want that good?
Well, the other thing is, over 2 years, so they're probably planning some price increases.
Another one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably all material costs.
exactly. I can sleep with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the Smock land deal.
Mr. Chair, last week then Lori Gunnick, the Director of Health and Human Service, excuse me, Head Start, was in town for another meeting. She asked if we could take a look out there. So we walked the grounds a little bit. Les and I had looked at it before out there, thinking of 2 possible locations for it. So one of them would be where the parking lot is at for our building. You see the building there on the right. Straight south of that, of course, we know where that old septic tank used to sit. You can kind of see the brown area there in the overhead. That was one of the areas that Les and I had kind of kicked around that might be a possibility. If you lined up with the fence that goes around the building by the radio tower, if you go from where that fence would line up with where the septic tank is at, if that would be the south edge of the building, and then build to the north of that, you'd have plenty of room to get like a 50-foot by 100-foot building in there, something like that, again, the 5,000 square feet that they're looking for, and then room for a parking lot around there. But the issue being is that little piece there would be landlocked, so we'd have to get them in there with the driveway, and not so sure that coming through the existing parking lot with the driveway coming into that building would be such a good idea, because the kids and traffic just wouldn't be a good idea. So we'd have to probably have a separate easement, maybe in between our existing parking lot and the pond. So if we would sell them a piece of land, give them an easement to get into there, it's possible, but it's just a little bit more confusing. And went over that with Lori Gunnick. Then the other option that we talked about, Les and I talked about as well too, is if you go to Hiawatha, then of course you can see the driveway going on to 11th Street, then that other driveway that's not being used. So if we actually sold them a chunk of land there, actually along the walking trail there, so they could actually come in the one driveway and exit out the other driveway, if that would be a possibility. Just spitballing some ideas. So kind of the 2 spots. Lori did think that location-wise, she would probably prefer to have it one up by Hiawatha. I don't know, Les, what do you think? Between
Makes
the 2?
me no difference.
Yeah. It would probably be a little bit cleaner, a little bit smoother, then we wouldn't have to worry about drainage. I'm making that assumption that if we built there by Hiawatha, that the water from the parking lot would drain into the ditch on Hiawatha and not back into the pond. I'm making that assumption, but that would eliminate any problems they have with having the pond being bigger or not
That can all be done with landscape.
with landscaping. Yeah.
You can encourage it to run that way.
Yeah. And this spot of land right here is actually, roughly from 11th Street back down to that would be like, I think off of Google Maps, just with their measuring stick, it would look like it was about 200 feet, 180 feet, something like that. So whether we sold them that entire chunk from the driveway north and then go back deep as far as they need, they wouldn't necessarily have to go all the way to where you see the mowed grass, the mowed section, as they wouldn't need that much. Maybe sell them just a chunk on the front, something like that.
Personally speaking, I guess I like that option a little bit better, because if they're gonna have like a little playground or anything too, that
Right,
gives them a lot more room to work.
A little
A
cleaner.
little more grass area to run around in and stuff.
The only problem is the playground would have to be fenced because of the retention pond.
They could be fenced
Right.
It
regardless.
has to be anyway,
Yeah.
because the facility they got in Worthington, they just built a couple years ago, that had to be fenced as well too, so nothing unusual about that. So as you all know, of course, our requirements, that's where we're kind of hoping the domain would be here. Because this is county-owned property, we can't just sell it to them directly. First step we have to do is identify an area and have it staked out. And then once it's staked out, then so we'll have to have it surveyed, obviously, to do that. Then we have to list it in our legal paper for 3 weeks and also in a local paper for 1 week. Now, I believe that 1 week and one of those 3 weeks can be at the same time, can't they? It's not.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think
It's
we
the
can
same
run it
paper.
concurrently.
Steve, who would have to survey that?
We would bring in a surveyor. I'm looking at, we've used Butel Mosing out of Marshall
Okay,
before.
thank you.
I think Nick's probably familiar with them as well. Yeah.
You had
Yeah. Yeah.
Given land surveying, work for us last year, they did good work, so they got some records in the area too, so.
Yeah, because I'm assuming there must be a property pin out there someplace that they can go off of, shoot off of that, so.
Let's fire that around. So go ahead.
So it's just figuring out what size chunk of land they might need.
Is this for when we were looking at Karen Hands? or-
No, Carrying Hands is going to be south of that.
No, I know, but when we first started.
First, yep, Carrying Hands was going to be out there as well. It was going to be on the
Yeah.
south part of it, though.
Yeah.
Now they moved to the northeast. Are they digging yet?
I didn't go out there yesterday. I'm going to give Al a call, find out.
Dan, does the 150 by 150 include their parking area too?
Yes.
So there's enough for the building and parking within a 150 by 150 that they were asking at the last
Yep.
meeting?
And
Okay.
playground?
And playground? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that would give them great plenty of room there.
So this is the size for the lot and the building?
Yeah, that's about 150 by 150. I just had the assessor's office and their program just kind of pencil one out for us so we kind of have an idea what it looked like.
Like I said, whether they'd have to go that deep as far as east and west there, if it could be a little bit narrower, a little bit longer, whatever would work for them on that too. But the next step in it, then after we actually identify it, advertise it, then we have to take bids on it, and anybody can bid on it. But we do have the right then to refuse any and all bids. So that's, personally, that's kind of what I feel is going to be the best way to proceed with this, because again, I thought that they were a government entity because they are part of the joint powers, but as we learned, no, they're not considered governmental agencies, so we can't convey it to them directly, it's going to have to go through this process. But I just kind of wanted to bring that to the rest of you guys too, to see what you thought. Like I said, appreciate Les looking at it out there with me too. Anything more to add, Les?
The only thing I didn't like about putting the building in front of a building, it kind of blocks the view of the family service building, but
You know.
that's the way the property's laid out, that's where they want to go.
And in regards to the aesthetics of it too, you'd mentioned it'd be nice if that building was built comparable to what our other building is, with the same finish and so forth, that it had siding and it's tape type of roof. And Lori Gunnick thought that as well too. In fact, she asked who our architect was on this, and I didn't know, but we can find out who the original architect was on that. So they can kind of have the building look somewhat similar, so. So what do you guys think? Do you kind of favor the idea of moving forward with this, or?
She needs this to write her grant, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. She has to have a purchase agreement. She doesn't have to own the land. She has to have a purchase
Just needs a
agreement.
purchase agreement.
And obviously, we can't give her a purchase agreement until
Till we go through the
do this,
hurdles.
because it's public owned land. So that doesn't mean that again, with the bidding process, so the day that we accept or reject bids, that doesn't mean we're selling the property that day. That just means it's giving us permission to sign a purchase agreement to, in the future, sell this to them.
I suppose contingent on getting the grant.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so we're talking, another 3-year project. It just takes forever to go through all the red tape.
Or it could be 5.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So really, the first steps would be the surveying and the advertising.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, but of course, it's gonna cost money to do surveying, so we gotta get permission from all of us as a joint group, and also just the intent whether or not we're willing to actually put this up for bid, so.
I'm open to it. Supportive of it.
I mean, it would be nice to have a facility, I guess, for
Yep.
that start.
Talked with Doug Fortune, this is not in the floodplain out there, but at the same time, we all know that common sense tells you when you, and I mentioned that to Lori too, when you build this, you're gonna wanna build it up to the same height as what our building is there. Because we know in the past that there has been water south of here on Hiawatha, it's never gotten up to this point, but
Not yet.
Those ditches got closed a few years ago.
yeah. Yeah.
I would recommend that the board authorize a surveyor to be hired to survey the land at this point, and then bring that back, and then get going with the publishing of the notice. Once you take a look at the survey, make sure everything's the way you want it, and that nothing's changed. We look at the setbacks and everything where it's gotta be, so we gotta worry about road setbacks to the north and the west. Get the survey done, bring that back, and then go ahead and then determine to advertise. Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds good.
In fact, I'll go ahead and make that motion, and we as a group authorize the expenditure of the surveying of this to research, to move forward with this. Figure out exactly how it might fit for them as far
Right.
as the dimension of the lot and so forth, what might work out there. So I'll make that motion that we move forward on this.
Okay.
I will second.
Because if you did do this, obviously they would purchase the setback amount plus the amount they need for
Right.
whatever. Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
We got anything else to be brought up today?
Okay.
Chair, move to adjourn.
Just wanted to comment on the census stuff. Is there any 10-year-old numbers? How
Yeah, I was
I'm
wondering
interested in
that,
the change, not necessarily how many.
Will there be any
That was just the first one
redistricting
that came out last week. That's the first one we've seen so
Yep.
far. So I presume we're down, but
I can look up the
Do we know
10-year-old
if there'll
number
be any
somewhere.
redistricting?
that's separate from this.
Yeah.
Don't have any idea on redistricting yet, no.
Yeah.
Too early. The last thing we heard from the demographer, it was gonna be probably January before we were into local redistricting.
I know they're still working on what
Yeah.
congressional and legislative.
Yep. Sounds like congressional will be done first, and then local will be done
Yeah.
secondary.
And to your knowledge, districting is all set up basically on making sure that there's 5 equally represented areas in the counties, how they do that.
I think I'm not sure of the percentage difference it's gotta be, but
I think there's a range, yeah,
Yeah, there's a range.
because they're not all the same now.
no.
And it's not figured on just strictly population, it has, there's gotta be more in the formula than just population, it has to be the amount of acres and so forth.
Nope, it's
it's
population.
population.
Because I represent over half of the county now, based on area,
You know,
but,
You win that one, huh?
yeah, and just because of less people.
you know.
And I think my district still has the lowest number of people.
I can get the 2010 numbers for you and put that in your basket too, so.
Hey, we do have a motion and a second to adjourn.
I have a motion.
Oh,
I
no
stepped on his second, I'm sorry.
Stepped on it, so. Anybody second? Chris made a motion.
I'll second.
All right, you want arm wrestle? All right. Dallas, since you stepped on it, you can second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Chris.
You're fine. No apology needed. You as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
See you this afternoon?
Thanks, Jill.
Awesome. No worries.
All right, let's see. Luke, need a few signatures for you before you leave.
We got a road and bridge committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
Still want to do that committee meeting? That still works for everyone?
Yeah,
Yep,
Okay.
we're here.
Right here?
Sure.
yep.
Somebody in the room.
Road and bridge you're talking about?
Yeah.
3:30 appointment to give blood. What are the chances of making that?
Well, I gotta be on my
Where
list.
at? In Edgerton? You might be about 15 minutes late if it's in Edgerton.
I got kids coming off the bus, so it depends on how late it goes too. I don't have to leave.
I get to leave first.
And I saw that tomorrow, maybe Pfizer boosters available.
Yeah, I don't know if you brought it.
Hoping to be able to take advantage of that tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah.
We plowed through a lot of stuff today.
We did. That's the biggest board packet I think I've ever had.
Well, you had the budget one in there too.
Yeah,
was
that
113 pages. Yeah, I haven't had a big one like this for a long time.
Well, we didn't get stuck on too many topics. We kept plowing through though, so.
Sticking around for the committee meeting, Steve, or?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay.
We're gonna go late. I got
I
lunch with Linda at noon, so.
I told these guys I was gonna try to get through it in 5 to 15 minutes, depending on questions, so.
Works for me.
I'd like to get back and get my one utility permit filled out and then head back to fix my combine and get rolling again, so.
Still working on beans, I presume?
Nope, finished last night.
Really? Okay.
Pulled the yard, trying to take the head off it, and there's this squealing noise, and I don't want to see. I couldn't hear it in the cab. Like, I don't even want to know. I'm just gonna get the head off, then we'll look at it. Bearing froze up on the pulley, but
You need a computer for any reason?
Nope.
over there? Okay.
the exciting part was when I crawled down in the engine compartment to take it off, and I snagged my shirt, and it pulled up on something, and then my bare stomach hit the turbo, and
Oh no.
Ouch.
oh yeah, I got a burn.
Oh. Yeah.
Luckily, it cooled off for 10 minutes before I did that, so it was probably only
Was it?
300 degrees instead of. Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't know. I didn't really look at it. I know it's there, but